So I've got some bolts in here now. This is on there. That was really tough to get off, but I just bent the frame a little bit to get the wheels to not touch while they roll. While checking out the handle, it doesn't do anything because it's split right there. And this is too long, so I'm going to cut it, tie it around there, because there's like 4 inches of slack here. So I shortened the cord on the rope. That's good. Also tighten that. I gotta be honest, just pulling it here, it's not much compression and the brake is on, so I'm not having good thoughts about this engine working because the brake is on and it's pulling pretty easily. I hear something. We'll see. Just put a clamp there, just so I can test it, you know. That was the only way to stop it. I gotta tell you, this thing's dangerous, man. Blade seems to vibrate a lot, moving it around. I have a feeling the crankshaft might be bent. I'm gonna have to check this out tomorrow because it's getting pretty dark. Maybe the engine bolts are, you know, not on tight enough because maybe it's okay. But definitely, man, it was vibrating. It seemed really unsafe. I was even scared to walk next to it, you know. So it's the next morning now. And last night, you guys saw, I was just running it for the first time. And it runs, so carburetor seems to be clean. It's getting gas and all that stuff. But as you know, I did that so it would start, you know, because I don't have a cable. It's busted. And so I was trying to turn it off because this thing was violently shaking. And so the only way for me to stop it was to take this off. What was interesting is that this thing gets great spark, man. So I pulled it off, and you could see the arc, the electric arc was still connected, and it was still running from that, you know. So it was pretty amazing. So there's definitely a good spark, but I'm concerned that the crankshaft might be bent because it was really shaking violently, or this blade could be bent. But you know what? From the naked eye, it doesn't look to be too bad, if any. You know, maybe it's curved a little bit like that, like an arc downwards, and I don't know whether or not that'd be enough to shake it so violently. I disconnected that spark plug because if I'm screwing around down here, you definitely don't want to. You know what? I'm just looking. I think the crankshaft might be bent slightly, you know. Yeah, it looks like it. Yep, you could tell the crankshaft's bent. Can you guys tell? Right there. I want to try something. So I've got the screwdriver lined up right there in the middle, okay? And so you can see that it's pointed right at the top of that adapter there, okay? So let's see. You see that? Now the screwdriver is about a 1/4 inch higher. And now one full revolution, it's back to where it was. So it's bent by a 1/4 inch. That's quite a lot. So it's bent downwards right there. I've seen on YouTube that people just take a sledgehammer and pound it down, but honestly, I mean, it's a really thick crankshaft, you know what I'm saying? Really thick. So to bend it a 1/4 inch to get it to run right, probably not worth it. Probably take it apart and sell the stuff for scrap or parts, you know. But you know what? I'm gonna give it a couple of whacks with a hammer anyway. But before I do, I'm gonna take off the adapter and the blade before I damage it, you know. Still use it for something else. Tough to do with one hand. Wow, you can really see how bent it is. Got enough washers on there, man? Damn. Yeah, could always use some extra washers. Look at that. It's okay. This could use a little banging too. Too bad, because it feels like it's got some compression. We saw the engine run, you know. I'm gonna whack it a couple times there. So as you can see, I gave it a couple of whacks there. I think it made some difference, but it's too bent to make a difference. You can even actually kind of see it's warped, like that, you know. So I'm just going to strip this thing down for parts. Save the deck. Could always use a deck because I run to engines all the time, you know. So as you guys saw, this guy had the frame of the bag inside out. This thing is supposed to be on the outside so you can pull it. So you just detach these things over here, pull the frame out a little bit, and get this thing out. So that's the bag. It's in good shape. Good deck, right? No rust anywhere. It's got a throttle cable over here that I could use. Brake handle, so I'll just wait for another engine. As you guys saw, I took the engine apart and salvaged the parts that I could use and sell on eBay. Just give you a brief breakdown. So Tecumseh recoil starter in good shape. You could probably get 10 bucks, 15 bucks for it. Blade, 10 bucks. Fuel tanks. Fuel tanks are very valuable. You could probably get 20. The old breather tube for breather tube air filter assembly for Tecumseh Vantage or Legend model. I don't know, 7, 8 bucks. The engine cover coil cowling. I think it would only fit a Legend or a Vantage, so it really all depends on if somebody's out there who needs a new one. Usually the metal cracks over here, stuff like that. So this one's in good shape. Maybe somebody would want it for a Vantage, you know. I've sold a bunch of these Tecumseh flywheels. Probably 15 bucks for it, right? These are kind of valuable. An original OEM Tecumseh carburetor with the linkage and throttle assembly with the governor on there. Yeah, probably get some good money for it. I mean, we saw it works, you know. Tecumseh carburetors are a pain in the ass, but I bought a lot of them, you know, the Chinese copies and stuff. It's good to have an original. You always run into a Tecumseh lawnmower here and there, you know, could use a carburetor. It's the brake kill switch. One of those small Tecumseh mufflers. I've had to buy a few of these over the years, you know, because, you know, you try to make something out of something, and the L-shaped ones are just too big and it just doesn't fit right on some models. So the little ones fit. There's actually a smaller one that's just round. Cylinder head. It's in good shape. Along with the bolts I'll sell it with, because people are always like, well, you're selling the cylinder head. I really could use the bolts. Do you have the bolts? Yeah, I got the bolts. Wow, I'll buy yours because the other guys don't have the bolts. I want the bolts. You gotta sell them with the bolts. What are you gonna do with the bolts? You got nothing to do with the bolts. Sell it with the bolts. Tecumseh ignition coil, magneto, armature, whatever the hell you want to call it. Why do they have so many different names for it? I have no idea. But as you guys saw, we have evidence on video. This thing really generates a lot of spark. Really good spark. Best spark I've ever seen, actually. It's the cup for the flywheel. It's the nut. You know, I really didn't need to take these off, but you know what? Someday I'm going to need that. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't take up too much space. Just throw in my box of parts. And the screws and stuff, you can always use these screws because they use these screws for like every damn lawnmower there is, you know? 5/8 ones. The breather. Hey, you never know when you have a lawnmower that the only thing wrong with it is the breather, right? So you just keep this too. It's not big. Throw it in a box. It doesn't take up any room. And you might need it someday. Save you $5 or something like that. So yeah, I mean, the logic that I have is sounding a little bit like a hoarder, but honestly, do you know how many times I've run into a situation where I have a lawnmower that needs this and needs that, and I'm like, oh, son of a bitch, I threw that out last week. You know what I'm saying? And now I gotta go on eBay and buy it for $5 or $10 or something like that. So I just save all the stuff that I think I might need for a future rebuild, you know? And the parts really come in handy. And you know what I paid for this? Nothing! I got it for free! Free! This is money right there. Anyway, so that's my video of trying to fix a Murray lawnmower, push mower, whatever you want to call it, and having a bad crankshaft and deciding not to use the engine. I'm going to chuck the engine out. Remember, I was very responsible. You guys saw. I'm going to throw these 2 engine blocks out on recycling day, along with my other recycling. You saw that I also drained the oil and I disposed of it properly into a canister, which I'll take to the gas station and just give it to them. I don't know what they do with it, but as long as I don't have it and I'm not dumping it in my sewer or the lake or the reservoir, something really retarded like that, because guys, you know, that stuff goes back into, in some states, that goes back into our drinking water, seriously, you know. So it's not cool if you guys are dumping this oil somewhere, you know. Put it in a canister, at least, and throw it, if you throw it in the trash, at least it goes to a landfill, you know, where it's absorbed into the soil or other garbage, you know. But don't just throw it into the sewer, you know, or the lake. It's not right. It's not cool. Best thing, just take it to a gas station, man. Anyway, that's about it. I guess you can call this video, this project a fail, because I wasn't able to get that lawnmower to work. But got some parts, got a deck, and showed you how fast you can take apart an engine and salvage the parts. See you guys next time on Mowers and Blowers. Hey everybody, it's Henry from Mowers and Blowers. How are you guys? I haven't done a video in a few days. It's been kind of dry, you know. Haven't seen anything too good. I've sold some stuff, but I haven't been able to acquire any stuff until yesterday, when I sold one of my push mowers, actually self-propelled push mowers, and the guy actually gave me his old one, you know, that didn't work. He says that the, well, this was off, see? And, I don't know, he tried to fix it, and it seems like it, you know, he fixed it, you know, but he lost the bolts to it, and he couldn't figure out how to put it back on. I mean, such an easy thing. I'm not sure if he actually was using this or he found it, you know what I'm saying? Because it's missing the gas cap, right? And, these are old. Obviously it's Tecumseh carburetor, you know, with the black bulb, you know. But it has this type of air filter base. So when you're looking at it, it says Vantage Tecumseh. So this looks really similar to that snapper that I got that threw the engine away because it was busted. There was no hardly any compression, couldn't fix that. But I took it apart, and that was a Tecumseh Legend, I believe. And fortunately, I didn't throw it away. I took the cap off of the Legend. Let's see if it fits. Need to get like some kind of a air cleaner for that. Look at that. Fits. And this is also a Legend cap. Looks similar. Yep, there it is. Cool. So now I've got a cap. Got the thing. Put some bolts on here. The front wheel's crooked. See that? It's crooked. I'm going to fix the wheel. Find some bolts for that Tecumseh recoil starter. What the hell? Well, this will do for now. I'll get started.